Ivy Slater, and you're listening to Her Success Story Podcast, a show where gutsy businesswomen share their success journey. Hi, it's Ivy Slater. Welcome to Her Success Story. This is our holiday series, and during the holidays, we love to highlight and talk to different nonprofits organizations. It's really important during the holiday seasons to me to make sure that this season is about giving and receiving. So we have huge people with generous hearts and true interest in the nonprofit world who listen to Her Success Story. So we're going to highlight today Patricia LoPresti. She leads the First Tee of Cleveland as the executive director. Let me tell you a little bit about the First Tee because it's really was fascinating for me to start learning about it. It's a nonprofit that impacts the lives of local youth by providing educational programs that build character, instill life-enhancing values, and promote healthy choices through the game of golf. Under Pat's executive leadership, First Tee of Cleveland delivered its proven core values, life skills, and healthy habits curriculum to more than 2,000 local youth in 2019 through activity-based programs. Pat's enthusiasm is contagious. She has an entrepreneurial background. She uses her creative approaches in fundraising, marketing, she works closely with the board. They've created a strategic plan, which is always near and dear to my heart followers who know how passionate I am about great strategic plans. Goals to significantly grow the organization's impact over the next 5 years. We're going to learn today a little bit about Pat's background in the food distribution industry of LoPresti and Sons for 26 years before moving into the nonprofit world. Pat, welcome and thank you for joining me today.
Well, thank you for having me.
So share a little bit, let's start with, tell me a little bit more about, other than the bio and the overall, like this is what the First Tee does. Why were you driven to get involved as you transition from being a businesswoman for 26, some odd years, and we all go through life transitions, myself included. You made this decision. What drove you here?
Well, unfortunately, our family business had to close. And my great-grandfather started it 101 years ago. So that's all I knew, our family business. But what I really learned from my parents was about giving back to the community and how important that is. So when, unfortunately, we had to close, I was really looking, because I never thought I had a job before. Family business is 24/7, right?
Oh, yes, it is.
Yes, it is. So I realized that I wanted to find something that I had that same passion for. And I had a friend who told me, Pat, you got to look at the First Tee. It'd be a perfect fit for you. And I thought, gee, I haven't ever heard of the First Tee. I'm not much of a golfer. I play a little bit. But I looked into it and started.
So it wasn't that you had a golf background. It wasn't that was, oh my goodness, this makes so much sense. I'm an avid golfer. I belong to 8 country clubs, etc.
Exactly. No, it was when I learned about the mission of the First Tee. So it wasn't about the golf. It was about the impact. We really build, confidence and character and our 9 core values and everything I was raised with. I realize kids today aren't raised with their feet usually under the family table like we were raised, or many of us were raised, where we, dealt with life challenges. Today, kids really struggle to find the go-to team to help build their character. In school, they're doing active shooter drills and bombarded with testing and state testing and but where's a safe place?
It's a very different upbringing than when you and I grew up. And,
Yes,
it's 6 o'clock, 6:30. It was everybody gathered around the dinner table. We talked about our days. We talked about homework. We talked about different things. It's a very, very busy world, busy lives.
Yeah, I heard a statistic that I'm trying to verify, but let's just say it's roughly right. I'm not good with numbers, so let's just say roughly right. That it's less than 30 minutes a day that a child spends time with their parent, really engaged, talking about challenges or these values that we promote and we teach. In fact, half of that time they're one-on-one with their parent or guardian. They're usually talking about, their clothes or what they're having for dinner, or complaining about, the weather, or it's all these other things that get interrupted in that world.
So
And,
part of that is those surface conversations that we have as opposed to the deeper conversations.
Deeper conversations. So when you think that our average class goes 90 minutes, and that class integrates a life skill, a core value. Yes, it's golf, and in the winter it's culinary. I don't care if you have a golf club in your hand, or a whisk, or a blender making smoothies. We work at always kind of teaching the kids from the inside out, building their character and confidence, always questioning them and not telling them. We don't tell our kids, we question, and we have them learn on their own. Well, what do you think? Or how are you going to use honesty today? And when the kids start talking about how they will use and integrate, some of our core values, it changes their behavior, right? And they bring it home, they talk to their family a little bit about it, and all of a sudden we're getting.
And I'm going to assume, I'm going to jump in here, I'm going to assume it's encouraged of, hey, today, if it was honesty was the value we talked about, of how are you going to integrate it? And part of that is talking about that with your parents and your family, your siblings, your friends.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? So at the beginning of every session and at the end, we talk about, here's the core value we're going to talk about today. And at the end, we're going to say, how do you think you're going to use that? And then the next class, when they come back a week later, we will start that class saying, remember last week we talked about honesty? How did you use it? And, can you give us some examples? Or did you have any struggles? And, tell the story through a value and how they solved, digging a little deeper.
And through story, we learn so much.
Ivy, you are so right. Absolutely.
So share with me, how long is the First Tee of Cleveland and First Tee in general? Because let's just also cover some basics here. So the First Tee of Cleveland is the regional of a national organization. So share a little bit about that.
So the First Tee started 22 years ago. It was a combination of the PGA Tour, the LPGA, all the top golf organizations. They came together and really had a vision of giving kids an experience for a green grass course opportunity that maybe they wouldn't have. And that was 22 years ago. After a couple of years, they realized, this is not just for underprivileged kids. This is a foundation of a curriculum that they started building. So it's now really for every child. Doesn't matter your background, race, religion, gender, anything. We teach
and what
kids.
Kind of ages does it cover?
Yeah, you got it. See, I'm already jumping to tell you. We are ages 6 to 18. And
that's a big span. So when we bring, are this, the 6 to 18-year-olds, I assume we have them in groups of maybe 6 to 8 or something like that.
You are right on with 6 to 8. We call our 6 to 8s our mighty mites. And we you got to have fun, number one. Kids have got to have fun if they're going to come. So the mighty mites, it's all about safety and learning. Well, every age is, yes, in a bracket. And you can kind of go through our levels and learn stronger life skills. And as you get older and a teenager, we're going to talk more about, career or challenges that are appropriate, how to problem solve. But for the mighty mites, yes, we're just talking about safety, having fun, and maybe learning how to meet and greet somebody. So it's kind of the core of what we do. But as I was saying, so it started 22 years ago nationally. And today there's 150 chapters nationally and internationally. where, these programs go on throughout the country.
So, share a little bit, because you had a life career running a business, and running a family business, and moving into a nonprofit. As a leader yourself, what kind of transitions did you see?
Well, I was fortunate that the board and those that I interviewed with, took me for, kind of who I am, which is, I'm not changing who I am. So it didn't matter if I was in the family business or if I'm at the First Tee or anywhere I go. I want to be able to make an impact, to have flexibility, and build a team. And so that, I guess what I'm saying is I truly believe, Ivy, that your core strengths can be transformed across so many different areas in life. And, as long as I feel that I'm making a difference and an impact and growing this program, which I'm not doing, it's our team, we're doing it. But I know my leadership style is a little bit different. I like to
share a little bit about that.
Well, I believe, what, you got to get stuff done. You got to have fun. And, you got to constantly build your team and make a difference. So
share a little bit, because you have been building teams for 20 some odd years, and it's sometimes some leaders' biggest challenges. And it's a huge impact in a nonprofit when you have a good team versus you don't have a great team.
I think that you're right. It makes all the difference in the world to have a good team. I extend the thought of team beyond just we only have a staff of 6. So to me, this is family. I'm used to dealing in family, and this is extended family. That's how we work. But I also see our team as all the other nonprofits that we collaborate with and we become part of. So we pick and choose, and we work with other youth organizations and become part of their program. So Boys and Girls Club, or, there's a local university settlement, or there's so many wonderful youth organizations that kids are already going to. We're just going to be a part of that and bring our curriculum there. So to me, when you talk about team, it's inside these walls, but it's outside the walls in the community, that we're all here trying to make a difference and an impact for the kids. We are building the future leaders, right?
So how do you get, how does the First Tee of Cleveland reach out to the children? How do we get the children involved? Is it through the schooling, through any of the local religious organizations? How are they hearing about it, and how are they getting involved?
Well, if you recall when you asked me how I got involved, and I said I never heard of the First Tee when a friend told me, I would say that's still my number one challenge. And now I'm in my 10th year. And so many people, I still, when I say what I do, they're like, gee, I never heard of that, unless they're golfers. Most golfers do know. So I would say, that is the number one challenge. So how do we do it? We do it through word of mouth. We do it through a ton of social media. We are in schools, elementary schools, where we actually have certified programming for their physical education classes. So we go in with all the equipment and training, and the PE teacher loves it because we give them lesson plans and, equipment. And we also do it after school programming. And we, kind of the next phase is trying to also get the parents engaged. So
how are you hoping to do that? And what's the long-term goal there?
Well, let me tell you the most simple thing. So sometimes when we do try it sessions in an elementary school, for example, right?
So I'm going to just say that's try it. Like, come out and try it.
Try it. Yeah.
Try it. Like it.
Try it. You'll like it. Yeah, Mikey. Try it.
Mikey,
you'll like
try it. You'll like it.
Yes, try it.
We're
you'll
talking
have fun.
generations here, Pat.
That's all right. You know what? I still believe it, though, right? Try it. You'll like it. And the one thing that we realized as a team, there was a little disconnect when we would go into an elementary school gym class, And, the kids weren't going home saying, oh, I had a great experience with the First Tee of Cleveland today. So we made stickers that said, I had fun with the First Tee of Cleveland. So kids are going home with stickers on.
With stickers and
Stickers.
then the parent, what's that?
What's that? Because, we knew initially we would send, the kids home with a flyer and it'd go in a book bag and nobody would ever see it again, right? So we're just trying new ways to have the kids talk about, an experience that they had and why they want to do it again, why they wanted, what they learned.
So let's look at the other side of this, because, nonprofits and businesses aren't all that different. So, when we look at sales and business, it's an exchange of a service or a product for some sort of dollar amount. Okay.
Yes.
In nonprofits, we raise money, we ask for donations in one area, and then we give that to the client, right, in the other area, in the service. How do you raise awareness to raise donations and gain the exposure? So are you on golf courses all over Cleveland? Give me some, that was my first thing is, damn, let the golfers give.
You fish where the fish are, right? So
exactly.
Yes, we do go out to country clubs and talk about our impact. This past Friday, we had our 8th annual breakfast called Great Gratitude in You. It was always around Thanksgiving because, as I said, I wasn't much of a golfer. So I'm thinking, how am I going to get the people in the community to an event? It's a fundraiser that they can understand our impact. So we had 402 in attendance, where we had some of our alumni talk, quick breakfast, in and out, but, an overview of our impact with people in the community that might not have already heard about us. We have an honoree every year who's a huge leader in the community that we get great sponsors. So, I'll tell you the other thing when I'm going to flip around, but when we talk about team, I said we have 6 here. We have a board that is fabulous in helping with strategic direction and initiatives. So, when you say business and nonprofit are very similar, they are, but, the big difference is the oversight of a board of a nonprofit, making sure you have the right people in the seats. And we have been so fortunate to have a dynamic corporate board that is diverse, is very giving. Actually, they sign a statement of expectations that they have to be, they have to show up, they have to produce financial assistance yearly and, raise awareness. So that team now expands to also our board. And the other way we've expanded is also ambassadors. We have right now 72 young professionals in a group that help us in ways that I didn't even know. Like, I had a hard time getting on this Zoom call, right? So we have these young professionals that are helping us in social media and spreading our brand in new ways, and, just doing different things to really help us grow awareness. And once you grow awareness, you can grow the impact.
And what I admire about your philosophy and what you're doing and how you're doing it is you're pulling together a strong team. You have a strong board, and you also have a strong group of young professionals that's in it. So you're expanding all generations, because often board members on nonprofits and board members in general are the 45 maybe, but very often 50 and up, people with more time, but even you give them at 45. But to have those young professionals, that 30 to 40 sector that has a social capital net worth massive these days.
Yes.
And help them carry that message forward is so smart.
And the key to that I realize, the ambassadors are passionately and adamantly want to get involved in volunteering with the kids in the program. So they're not a one-off. They want to see the program in action. They come, they also are part of some of our volunteers that are background checked, and trained to deliver the program. So they're not just sitting around a table listening to, facts and figures. They are constantly talking about what we can do different. How can we help? How can we help the kids? And, that's a lot of energy and a lot of passion, but kind of a new way, from that corporate board of, sitting there with, strategic planning, and our ambassadors are going out, meeting the kids and saying, hey, why don't we try this? Why don't we go here? Why don't we expand there? And, I love that energy.
Is there any difference in when we look at challenges of running a business, challenges of running a nonprofit? Are they similar? Are there any differences that stand out?
There's a lot of differences, but I guess one thing I would back up on is I personally hate the word nonprofit, and I think a lot of people in our world, it's not that we do want to make money. We need to be sustainable, right? As any organization does, and I just feel we are do-gooders. So it's kind of interesting. I mean, when you said earlier,
you're in the business of doing good. I like it.
It's a business of doing good, making an impact. And when you talk, I came out of the food business. So yes, we'd sell a banana and we'd get a quarter, right? And you're asking what the exchange is now. Well, we instill strong character. And it's interesting because the cost to deliver our program is about $750 per child. We charge $5 per child. So that gap we have to make up in our fundraising. We won't turn any child away. So everybody has to pay at least $5. But we don't ask for financials. This is a program about core values and honesty. So if you say, hey, $55 for 8 weeks is too tough for me. Okay, what can you afford? Give us what you can afford. It's got to be a little bit of something.
You have to have skin in the game.
Yeah.
And hence the child and the family is showing up.
Exactly. So, but I think what they get, and what the belief of those who support us and fund us, foundations and individuals, corporations, they know what we're giving back to the community, because we have a 5-year independent study that shows we increase self-confidence, we increase grades, social responsibility, social and emotional learning. It's huge what our curriculum does, but kids don't know that's what we're doing. They're having fun, and all of this is kind of mixing as they learn.
And the ripple effect of one child sharing with another child and another child sharing with the parent sharing is even if you touch, let's say 2,000 young people, the ripple effect of who they touch is where a huge impact is made.
Absolutely.
So share with me how our listeners can know more about First Tee of Cleveland and First Tee in general, and golfers and non-golfers, raise your curiosity. People who like kids, who care about the next generation, raise your curiosity. Pat, what can we share with them?
Well, let me say a couple things. First of all, There's so many fabulous organizations, right? And for the youth in our community, I feel that there's great organizations that clothe kids, that give them books, that mentor, tutor, feed them. And those are all fabulous organizations. The difference we have is we build character from the inside out. So those organizations are wonderful, and medical, everything needed from the outside in. Our core is building character from the inside out to really have these kids, grow and learn and be confident. So what can I tell you? The First Tee of Cleveland, the First Tee in general, Google it. Take a look at the First Tee's website, the First Tee of Cleveland. You can Google all First Tees, and our websites are all very similar. We have the same we have the same curriculum and same impact. We do it a little bit different ways, because guess what? There's a first tee down in Florida that can, every day of the year it seems to be sunny down there. Why we have to deal with snow up here, and we change our curriculum. But each first tee is really making a difference in the communities that they live in.
So listeners, it's an opportunity to get involved, to understand that as we touch the younger generation and our upcoming leaders of tomorrow, the more that they are in touch and have an understanding of core values and the values that the first tee represents and teaches, the better our world will be overall.
There's no question in my mind, or the mind of anyone who's part of this wonderful organization. We just need to sustain and build and impact more kids.
I love it. I love organizations that impact our children, because that's the leaders of tomorrow. And the more we have to give to them today in all ways, the better off we're all going to be.
Absolutely. You got it right on. You get it. You got it. You get it.
Pat, thank you so much for taking time out of, I know it's always a busy day, and it's the holidays, so it's even more busy than busy in life.
Yes, we all have an attitude of gratitude, right? And we're grateful because we cannot do this without donors and supporters and people like you that can help spread our awareness and our mission and vision. So thank you.
Thank you. And listeners, remember, we are in a nonprofit series. We're highlighting a different nonprofit each week. It's been interesting, fun, enlightening. I have to say, it is always fascinating to me to be able to speak and connect to so many organizations who care and do good. So stay tuned, keep listening, subscribe. We're in your inbox every Monday morning. Thank you for joining me again, Pat. And happy holidays, everyone.
Thank you.